Wow, guys. So, yeah. How's Minnesota doing? There's a fine line between being a protester and a rioter, guys. Very fine line, especially now more than ever.
Until security is restored in Iran. And of course, fears again around the international reaction and the potential for the US to take direct military action if indeed the violence continues.
Yeah, and some of those concerns.
This is a CIA guy. I watch his channel every now and then. But, you know, don't trust CIA. You know, you heard that saying, don't trust CIA unless you're gay. I just made that up. But, yeah, but this guy, I'm not saying trust him or don't trust him, but I don't know. I think he's bringing up some good points.
Worried other American allies are secretly very excited. But what happens next? People are asking fewer and fewer questions about what will happen next in Venezuela because they're asking more and more questions about what will happen in Iran. On the other side of the planet, Iran is a completely different beast. Iran is not actively involved in the drug trade to the extent that Venezuela is. Plus, Iran has been a long-term, long-distance conflict point for the United States, where Venezuela was an ally in the not-too-distant past. On the other side of the world, in Iran, you have some very different complexities than what you had in Venezuela. First of all, Iran is a theocracy. You have to deal with a government, but you have to deal with a religious government. Second, you have Iran's long history of support to international terrorism. Not just narco-terrorism, but good old-fashioned extremist terrorism, including their proxy militias that exist in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Yemen, and even in Israel itself. Lastly, and possibly
they got to get all these fucking other countries on board with this shit if they take out this the Ayatollah. They kind of do want this guy out because but they're not going to outwardly admit it, most of them. But this guy's on his way out. He's already trying to go to Russia, hide all his diamonds and shit, supposedly, and probably his own people want to kill him. Who knows? The ultimate top of the shit list. He's on top, this guy right now in the world. Like you know, they're calling Trump Hitler. This guy, if there was a real Hitler, you know, I don't even want to say Hitler anymore because he's been so like normalized now. Like everybody, like not everybody's being called Hitler now. But this guy is the closest to a Hitler we've had recently.
Most importantly is that the United States has no active military dominance in the region, unlike what was created with the 150 warships off the coast of Venezuela.
Yeah, we don't.
So Donald Trump's
we're not close. But you know who is?
Reason you should not expect Donald Trump to go in and kidnap the current Ayatollah of Iran. You should not expect American warfighters to go in and assassinate the current head of Iran, but you should expect the Israelis to take that action instead. Here's why I say that. Because Israel does have military dominance in the region. And Netanyahu and Trump have a very close relationship that has shown that they're willing to support each other in military aggression against Iran. The 12-day war that happened in Iran recently is a perfect example of that. And the deployment of U.S. military bombers to take out Iranian uranium enrichment facilities.
Whether you like it or not, Bibi and Trump are going to probably work together to get rid of this guy. I don't know. In my opinion, there's bad guys and there's really bad guys in this world. And you need the bad guys to take out the really bad guys. And I think it's a healthier way to look at the world, because if you don't look at it that way, you'll be disappointed all the time with the like you need liars and cheats to get the even bigger liars and psychopathic murdering cheats out of the fucking way, so we could at least, you know, live a little bit longer.
These are solid examples in recent history that show that Netanyahu is willing to take military action knowing that he has American support. And we have seen multiple times that Israel is willing to carry out assassinations of major political players in ways that the United States simply doesn't have an appetite or legal justification to carry out. So understanding that Israel is a country most likely to take some kind of action against Iran's Ayatollah Khamenei, let's talk about why I believe that action will be taken imminently. First, we have to understand Iranian succession. In Venezuela, succession is playing out just as we anticipated, with the vice president taking power in the absence of President Maduro. But in Iran, it's going to be very different because the Ayatollah does not have a clear line of succession. In fact, the person tagged to succeed the Ayatollah actually died in 2020.
That's another complication. They got to go find the Shah or the guy the son of the Shah, or whoever it wants to be. I don't know how that's going to work out. That's the bigger problem. Taking out the guy is not the problem. It's who comes in to take over everything.
24 in a helicopter accident in the mountains. The top 2 or 3 candidates to be the next Ayatollah are actually less radicalized and less ideologically focused on the Islamic Revolution than their previous predecessor who died in 2024. So even if a successor is identified, there's no confidence that that successor is going to follow the current Ayatollah's path because of their lack of commitment and dedication to the same revolutionary concepts that make Iran the problem child that it is. The second reason we can expect Israel to take some kind of imminent action against Iran is because of the timing. Right now, the whole world is focused on the United States and their extraordinary rendition of Nicolas Maduro. That means for the first time in several months, the airwaves are not being filled with Israeli criticism. In fact, what has happened is that the current president of Iran in December of 2020...
Instead, we got criticism, Minnesota criticism now. There's not, the heat has gone down from Israel a little bit. The heat has gone down because everybody's amped up about Minnesota. Now, I don't know, maybe this is some kind of psyop that they want you to misdirect. Oh, look over here. And then, so we could go over there and take care of the real fucking genocide that's happening right now. Because, guys, the death toll is only getting higher every day.
25 declared, in fact, what has happened is that the current president of Iran in December of 2025 declared that Iran is at full-fledged war against Israel, the West, and the United States. So while the United States has been the focus of international condemnation, what we've seen is Iran increase their escalation of rhetoric against the United States and its Western allies. This is happening simultaneously with increasing domestic economic protests happening on the ground in Iran. The protests happening in Iran right now are tied to legitimate economic issues, and they have not reached the intensity of what we saw in 2022 when domestic protests last plagued Iran. But specifically because of the fact that the protests happening now are initiated by the people because of economic uncertainty and economic stress, it's the perfect time for a foreign country to come in and assassinate.
That's how you protest, guys.
The leader of Iran because the people of Iran identify their leadership as the source of their economic burden. This is a perfect mirror image of what was happening in Venezuela, where inflation was running rampant, where international sanctions were making everyday life very hard, and where the people had become disillusioned.
I am surprised these protesters in Venezuela didn't go after Maduro like the scene at the end of Scarface with Tony Montana, where Manny's like, I think it's Manny. Is it Manny? Whatever. The Angel Salazar going, oh, Tony, open the fucking door, Tony! You know?
With their own leadership. So not only do you have the situation where Iranian succession is in question, but you also have this window of time where the actual people themselves might support foreign intervention in assassinating the same leader that they don't agree with. The third and final reason why Ayatollah Khomeini, the current Iranian leader, is at risk of imminent assassination is because the entire Western world and Middle East would support the killing of Khomeini. Iran's conflict with the West and with the United States specifically is obvious. We already mentioned earlier that Iranian President Pezeshkian has already announced that Iran is at a full-scale war with the West and with the United States specifically. The same is true for Israel. It's well known that Iran and Israel are in a conflict. So the idea that the United States or Western allies or Israel itself would want to see Khomeini dead is no surprise to anyone. But what might be a surprise to you is understanding that Saudi Arabia and many countries across the Middle East would also welcome the death of Khomeini. They would welcome the desolation of the current administration in Iran. That's because major Middle Eastern powers, countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, have been in conflict with Iran since the Iranian Revolution. They've been vying for control of the oil in that area. They've been vying for control of dominance religiously. They've been vying for control of economic dominance. A lot of that economic competition is in fact tied to oil. And the world has learned in the last few days that Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, while Saudi Arabia has the second largest oil reserves in the world, and Iran has the fourth largest oil reserves in the world. So in much the same way that you see the United States take...
Guys, I'm sorry, but it is about the oil, too. It is about the oil. Now, whatever you want to feel about that, it's about the oil. But do you want the bad guys to have the oil, or do you want to have the really bad guys have the oil? You know, the ones that, just kill like it's nothing,
action against Venezuelan oil after the extraordinary rendition of President Nicolas Maduro, you could expect to see the UAE and Saudi Arabia move against Iranian oil after the assassination of Khamenei. The United States would support this, Israel would support this, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, UAE would all support this. Most of Europe would support this because the world wants to see a weaker Iran. In fact, the only countries that don't want to see a weaker Iran are the same countries standing in opposition to Western powers. Countries like Russia, China, and North Korea. So the
North
assassination
Korea.
of Khamenei right now would not be the kind of thing that would result in international condemnation. If anything, it might be publicly criticized, but privately celebrated. And at the center of every conversation is the question of critical earth minerals. The reason that question is at the center of everything, the
minerals.
It keeps Americans awake late at night is because we already know empirically that America's #1 geopolitical competitor, China, controls the vast majority of rare earth minerals and critical use minerals.
Can't let Putin and Xi Jinping take all the minerals too. Save your pennies, guys. I don't know. Do they still make pennies out of copper? I don't know. Guys, I think Israel's gonna step in on this one.